Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mario Pedro Gould. You are now tuned into the Alpha Success Television Network. It is another wonderful, a magnificent, beautiful day today. Let us begin always on a positive note. Let us begin always with sublime thoughts. Tell yourself, ladies and gentlemen, it is a beautiful day. Yes, it is. The topic of discussion today is letting go of your past. Letting go of your past so you can release the energy that you have invested in your past and use it towards the progression of a more promising future. A future filled with peace, a future filled with prosperity, a future filled with abundant health and vitality. Do you feel, ladies and gentlemen, that you are in an emotional, mental prison? You cannot break free from the prison that is within you and soar like an eagle towards the greatness that has been reserved for you. Do you feel like you are being held back by your lower self? Have no fear, have no worry, for today we're going to plant the seeds of liberation, ladies and gentlemen, the seeds of liberation. So recently I made a post in Facebook and I made an assertion that the amount of money that you have in your bank account is usually directly related to your self-worth. I want to repeat this one more time. It's a very important, I'll call it concept for now. The amount of money that you have in your bank account is directly related to the amount of self-worth that you have for yourself. And when I put this post out there, I had a flurry of replies. People were very angry, people were very negative, and they were saying, no, Mario, my bank account has got no relationship at all to my self-worth. My self-worth has no relationship to the amount of money that I have in my bank account. And it was interesting looking at these replies, and I felt a dose of compassion, because until you realize that your success in anything is in life, whether it's financial, whether it's relationally, whether it's how you take care of your body, is directly related with how you perceive yourself, the amount of self-worth you have for yourself, the amount of love and acceptance you have for yourself, ladies and gentlemen. So I wanted to put this example as a foundation. We're going to come back to this example later on in this discourse today. I recently went for a seminar. It was a 3-4 day self-development seminar. I think it's called the Landmark Forum. And in a room of 150 people, everybody, the people that agreed put up their hands. They stand up and share their story. Their story as to why their life is so messed up. Their story as to why they have not been able to achieve success. Their story as to why they have problems with their families. Their story as to why their health is out of whack or their relationships are out of whack, blah, blah, blah. Everyone is complaining that they're not living the good life. And the funny thing that I observed when everybody was sharing their story was everybody said something happened to them in their past. Something happened to them in their childhood. And because of this thing that happened to them in their childhood, the rest of their life is messed up. You got people that are 40 or 50 years old still blaming their parents, still blaming their teachers, still blaming their guardians that were there with them when they were 7, 8 years old for the reason why their life is messed up. So we are going to be encouraging you here today to let go of your past. Now, before I say let go of your past, you say, hey Mario, it's easy for you to say, you have no idea what I have been through. That's what everybody says. My life has been so messed up, you have no idea what I have been through. So let us talk a little bit about psychology. Psychology, our goal is to liberate you here today so you can go and live the good life. Human beings have a very interesting behavior. The behavior that a human being has is to ascribe a meaning to an event. Something happens to you, and when it happens to you, you say, this means that I am that. I'll give you a good example. my mother um, left home when I was about 15 years of age, and she went away to England, and she was running away from the mental and physical abuse that she was undergoing, with the relationship of my father. And I remember coming home, and there was a letter for me, and I read the letter, and the letter said to the effect that, son, I have gone away to England, and I will bring you later on in the future. And this was actually the first time I remember really crying as a man at 15 years of age. I went to the washroom, I locked myself up in the washroom, and I cried and I cried, and I made up the story, ladies and gentlemen. Here's what I want you to understand. I made up the story that my mother had abandoned me. And because my mother had abandoned me, ladies and gentlemen, I then went further and made up the story that there must be something wrong with me. My mother abandoned me, there's something wrong with me. This is happening when I'm a young kid. Now I grow up into an adult stage, and there is that thought at the back of my mind, there is something wrong with me because my mother abandoned me. How do you believe I will react and interact in the world? If you have that limiting belief in your mind that there is something wrong with you, how will you behave in the world? Ladies and gentlemen, you'll behave in a manner that is self-sabotaging. So I remember when I went to Canada at the age of 18, with these thoughts in my head that there's something wrong with me, I got lost in a life of vice. For 10 years, I was deeply immersed in alcoholism. Alcoholism, cigarettes, marijuana, sex, just running away from the pain that I felt inside that there's something wrong with me. So luckily God has blessed me, and I have been able to turn the cycle around and discover, hey, there's nothing actually wrong with me. Everything is actually right with me. And the funny thing happened was I actually had a conversation with my mother about what happened. And I said, Mother, when you left when I was 15, this is the feeling that I had. I had the feeling that you abandoned me and there was something wrong with me. My mother, on the other hand, was surprised that I had this story. I had made up this story because she said that she had no idea that I felt that I had been abandoned. That was not her intention. She was running away from the challenge that was going on, with my dad. So I just give you this small example, and there's a lot of examples like this in my life whereby something happened to me when I was a child, I decided that I'm not worthy. Something happened to me as a child, I decided that I hate myself. So look back in your own life and look at what are some things that happened to you. Maybe at the age of 10 years old, maybe at the age of 15, maybe at the age of 6. And this event that happened, you decided to make up a story. Or, I was molested, it means I am unworthy. Or, I was beat up by my father or mother, oh, it means I am unworthy, there's something wrong with me. Whatever thing that happened to you, human beings create a negative meaning to it. The challenge with this negative meaning that we have is we grow up and we use the same conclusions that we made as children to make decisions as an adult. So if something happened to you in your childhood where you developed the negative belief that you are unworthy, okay? I am unworthy. I am unworthy. I am unworthy. It's playing in your unconscious mind. When you go out into the world and you're trying to reach for success, you will find that you take 1 step forward, 3 steps back. 1 step forward, 3 steps back. 1 step forward, 3 steps back. We call this self-sabotage. No matter what you try to do to move ahead in your career, no matter what you try to do to move ahead in your business, no matter what you try to do to move ahead in your finances, you seem to find yourself always in debt. The reason you are not moving ahead, ladies and gentlemen, is because you have a poor self-image. You have low self-worth. Something happened to you in your childhood. You created a meaning that you are not worthy. You are not worthy. So, ladies and gentlemen, I say that the goal of this video was to lead you to liberation, to help you look at yourself differently, to start creating a different perception of who you are. And the perception that I'd like to invite you to create for yourself is that anything that happens really has got no meaning at all except the meaning that you give it. Okay? This is a very, very deep concept that I'd like to share with you today. Anything that happens to you, ladies and gentlemen, has got no meaning at all except the meaning that you ascribe to it. So if you look at all the things that happened in your childhood, it doesn't mean anything. You just made up a story that you're unworthy, a story that there's something wrong with you. But that is not true, ladies and gentlemen. Everything is right with you. You are worthy. There is no meaning to anything except the meaning that you ascribe to it. The beautiful thing about this different way of looking at things is that even now as a grown-up adult, when you're going through challenges in your life, something happens to you and just something happens to you which normally you would perceive as negative. I'm inviting you to say that, hey, you know what? It doesn't mean anything. And when it doesn't mean anything, you have the possibility of creating a positive outcome. So maybe you call a customer for your business and you get rejected. Usually you would say, oh, there's something wrong with me. No. They just rejected you. There's no meaning to it. You got rejected by a lady. You failed in your business. You failed in your marriage. You failed in your relationship. Do not ascribe any meaning to anything that happens to you, ladies and gentlemen. Let go of your past. Put your past where it belongs. Life is lived in the now.